something extraordinary going on in Barrie, Ontario. No one seems to know exactly what I'm on. Your time has come!
Welcome everybody to another episode. It's Team Bayfield, support the scene, and we have Nick Pocock of In Search of Solace, and we have Miller from A Particle Apart. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Oh, thanks so much for joining us. And again, I'll have to get back to you to see if you're the most physically distant person that we've interviewed so far, because you're coming in all the way from Twin Cities, Minnesota.
That's correct.
Awesome. What is, to me, when I hear Minnesota, I don't think metalcore and I don't think heavy. What is the metalcore or the heavy scene in Minnesota?
That's actually one of my favorite questions. I feel like we are super, super lucky, and I feel like we are spoiled with the music scene that we have here. Ever since I was old enough to go to shows, there were always shows happening at all ages venues or your typical bar, nightclub, or just like real, event putting on venues. And so I think there's a great metalcore scene here, honestly. Some of the bigger name bands that have come out of here would be like After the Burial and Reflections, Your Memorial, probably forgetting some, but during not COVID times, it feels like there's a show going on every weekend or multiple shows. Yeah, we're really lucky here.
In your latest album, Enslaved to Tragedy, you kind of played with this question of, do we need tragedy in order to survive? Which is like a huge question that like sparks conversation. In your new material that's coming out, what other big questions are you hoping to ask?
Wow, I wish Johnny was here to answer that, as he's really the main lyric writer. But I will say that there are absolutely still themes of tragedy. That just for whatever reason just kind of seems to be our thing. What inspires us, and that's what that's where the title of the album came from. Is like when we're looking for inspiration of things that we want to talk about, that we want to write about, we seem to always be pulled back to this thought of like, well, let's talk about this horrible thing, that maybe happened to us or happened around us, or, and when life is going good, sometimes we feel a little less inspired. And so, it was just like this weird position where it was like, do we need these horrible things happening around us to like give us perspective, to offer us different experiences in order to feel inspired and have material to write about? Which, like, I don't know if we have an answer to that question. I don't think we necessarily do. If I were to just throw out an answer on the spot, I don't think we need the tragic events and happenings in order to feel inspired and feel alive. But, to a level, it's like you can't have dark without the light and so forth. And so...
Kane makes for some of the greatest content lyrically.
Well, and let's face it, we're in an aggressive music genre, and it's hard to be like screaming about how happy you are. And it's like that's what our band does. We scream and we do moshing, and it's hard, not saying it can't be done. We've done it. It's just harder sometimes. It's hard to be like, I'm happy. Therapy's going great for me.
Well, I mean, some people talk about that, especially when it comes to metal and heavy music. From the outside, a lot of people will see mosh pits, or they'll hear heavy music and they'll go, oh, no wonder everybody's so angry. But there's something so cathartic about going to a metal show, throwing yourself around a little bit, everybody's in the same mood as you, and then you go home happy as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So speaking on this like last year and a half with the pandemic, how has life changed for you guys in this past year and a half as a band?
This is something I was reflecting on earlier today, actually. What it did for me was kind of like messed with my identity a little bit of like every day it's like, all right, I'm a band dude and I've got some band things to do, and I handle the business and talk to people about the shows and the merch, and like when that kind of just like stopped, and it was like, oh yeah, there's no pressure to like try to land a tour or like try to go out and promote this album anymore, because nobody gets to do it. Nobody. And so in a lot of ways it was pretty relieving. It was like, cool, like it's out of our hands, we're powerless over it, I can't stop a pandemic. And so it was like, okay, like I can kind of take the back seat and like, we do what we can, try to promote online, but in our experience, we don't sell t-shirts sitting at home, and that's fine, and some bands do, and that's great. That hasn't been our experience. And so in a lot of ways it was just like, cool, like I can just kind of like explore other things that I like doing, hobbies and whatnot. And get a new job, and yeah. Well, short answer, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
For me.
All right.
And for the rest of us.
When I was lost, just carry on. This is the way that the world revolves. Don't let the pain decide your fate.
Okay. So favorite artist right now?
Ooh. Right now, it's funny. I had the thought the other day. It's like I feel like I'm stuck in 2007 again, because all I find myself listening to is 4 Years Strong and The Devil Wears Prada. And it's like, this is just like a repeat of like my middle school self. They both have new material out, and it's like, it's just pretty crazy to like see that happening 14 years or so later plus. And so, yeah, so I've been jamming those two bands a lot lately.
And follow up to that one quickly. Favorite guilty pleasure artist?
Ooh.
And this is
I don't really
positive
feel
space.
guilty about it. Sorry,
Okay.
what was that?
This is a positive space. We like to ask people, like, we need to normalize just liking music that you might get shit on otherwise. We can listen whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Totally. I probably Harry Styles, honestly. Like I was driving with my stepdaughter the other day, and she's 13, and she thinks that all I listen to is just heavy screaming metal, which is, for the most part, absolutely true. And I like started singing along to this Harry Styles song, and she just like lost her mind. She was like, this? I'm like, I can appreciate a good song. Like this guy kills it. He sings great. The songs are awesome. But like, I don't really feel guilty about it. It's just maybe uncommon or surprising, I guess.
Yeah. Surprising. That's the word. Yeah, my kids think the same thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Aggressive shit or stuff.
Totally.
Sorry.
So you've already done an episode, Miller. You've had all the F words. Don't worry about censoring yourself now.
Perfect.
So for people who aren't familiar with In Search of Solace, when they finally get to see you play live, what are they in for? What is the In Search of Solace brand evening?
One thing that we have always tried to bring to the stage is the most aggressive stage presence that we can. We have, maybe not the most aggressive, but we have always been of the belief that like there's no, it's weird. I think it's weird to play metalcore, whatever, and just stand there on stage. I just find that strange, even if it's 100 degrees outside. It's like, just my favorite bands growing up never did that, and so it's always been my goal to just like have fun and go crazy and probably look a little silly while doing it. And so I think we all feel that way. And so hopefully we bring like an entertaining show. Additionally, I think we all kind of ride the coattails of our drummer Derek, who's just very good, and he carries the band musically, absolutely. And so I do pride ourselves on or we pride ourselves on, you know, being pretty together live because of that, you know, and being together and being tight. That seems to be a piece of feedback that kind of continues to come up over time. Is like, wow, you guys are just as tight as the record, and it's like that's great, you know, because I'm not the best guitar player in the world, and I honestly don't, you know, but it's very nice to hear, and so we try to keep that as like a standard now. It's like, okay, if we're getting a little sloppy, like we gotta fix something here. I was just moments ago talking with our manager about how come the end of this year, it is just going to be like, you know, everybody is going to be releasing new music. Everybody is going to be trying to tour on new music because everybody's been recording music for the last year and a half. And so, like, conversely, we'll see a drop in I think producers and recording engineers, where no one will need to make new material because they already have done it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
On their own, because everyone's recording from home right now.
Yeah, I mean that too, and that's what we did. And so shout out to Jeremy from Earthgroans. He recorded drums for our new material. Ryan, our manager, is also our producer, and we went down to see him multiple times throughout the pandemic, and wrote some new songs. And then I've just been recording everything else at home this whole time and staying busy that way.
The new music, EP or full length?
It's a full length. Yep, it's gonna be 11 tracks, the longest piece of anything. Most we've done is 10 tracks. So,
Yeah, no, that's sick to hear, man. I look forward to it. That's awesome.
thank you. We're really, really excited about it. Yeah.
What advice do you have for like young unsigned bands trying to make a name for themselves, especially now in the music industry with everything that's gone on the past year and a half?
Sure. I think the best advice that I don't know about the best, but a few things come to mind. Hiring a producer that is established and knows what a good song should sound like, I think was a huge game changer for us, hiring Ryan. And, you know, kind of just being shown the way of like, hey, this, like, elements of songs are important, and here's how to make them be the best they can be. And it's okay to like obsess about them for hours and like just go crazy, really. You know, just putting your all into them. And so I think that first and foremost is the most important, because if the songs are good, like the stuff that follows will make just that much more sense, you know. And it's like when you have to hear the clip of your song being played on Instagram over and over, it's like you don't think about that when you're writing it, but it's like, all right, I'm gonna have to hear this part a million times. And additionally, just I think not being afraid to invest in yourselves financially, you know, like pay for a cool video, pay for good recordings if you can't record yourself, pay for the producer, and you know, and that's just, you know, one guy's opinion. I don't know what you should actually do, but and to just like I think what's worked for us is to like try new things and to not give up. Like we were unsigned until, you know, until this record came out, and we had put out like four releases before that, 3 or 4, and like we try to never let that slow us down, and just like make friends with bands, you know, and just try to tour. I mean, that's been our goal. So.
Speak in silent voices.
you have like a drop dead lineup? Like if you found yourself on this bill, you could drop dead happy afterwards.
I've got some dream bands that I want to tour with, but I think
Got 'em out.
once I think like the first one that comes to mind would be Under Oath. They've just been a band that has always inspired me, and it's been cool to watch their journey. And so like I think getting the opportunity to play with them would be like pretty like mind blowing. Absolutely. But and I say that, but I know it, like if that were to ever happen, the day it starts, it's like it's already the next thing. Well, like, okay, well, what tops it? It's hard for me to like stay in the moment and like appreciate that stuff while it's happening. But yeah, Under Oath would be one of the dream bands for sure.
So what signed or unsigned artists do you think deserve recognition right now?
That's a good question. Wow, just every Minnesota band just comes flooding to my mind at the same second. I mean, we are seriously blessed with like so many cool. I don't even want to call them local bands, just unsigned bands. That and some of them are signed. But man, I think the ones that come to mind are like our close buddies in By the Thousands. Terraform, Rot, Inflict, Agony Reigns, Common Quiet. Like I don't know, and I'm biased too because I record some of these bands in my home studio, and it's like I see how hard they work, and I just want the world for them. And so special shout out to Agony Reigns and Common Choir. Yeah, those are the buds.
When's Terraform coming out with new music? Also, personal question. You don't have to put this in.
I was under the impression, I don't care, I'll put their stuff out there, that they were about to release some stuff like 6 months ago. And
yeah, like I heard a couple singles, but that's it.
Yeah, and they did put out a single. I want to say at this point they're probably sitting on like 2 full lengths worth of music. And every time I see Josh, I just bugging him. I'm just busting his balls to release him. But they like to do their thing. And,
bust harder. I need new music.
I mean, if you want to send the masters to Miller ahead of time, I guarantee you can release them.
I know, a really great leak site. Okay, last question, but not least. Who is your favorite booking agent, and why is it Jillian Dorella Scott?
I will say, Jillian took a chance on us 2 times. Honestly, we've been to Canada twice now, and just for a band of our size is very, very cool. And we've been appreciative that we've gotten an opportunity to like say that we've toured another country. And she's been so nice to us and has just like honestly been the most hospitable promoter, booking agent, whatever, friend. So big shout out to Jillian for sure.
Absolutely. With that being said, thank you, Nick, so much for joining us. I'm so excited to hear that there's more In Search of Solace coming out. You got a full-length album in the works, a tour being announced. There's merch in the store right now. People go check it out. I believe all your albums are on Bandcamp as well. Toss these awesome dudes some money. Miller, thank you so much for being the co-host. To everybody else watching, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope 2021 and 2022 treats us all a little bit better.
Thank you guys so much. This was a blast. I appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, take care, man.
Yep. See ya.